All right, so we're gonna do an experiment where we are going to launch a car down a ramp. We're gonna set the ramp at different speeds, different heights, so that we can calculate the different speeds that the car will go based on the height of the ramp. Once we do that, then we're gonna look at how to graph this. So let's start with our experiment. We're gonna start with the ramp at the highest setting that I have right now. And we're gonna launch it. I have it lined up with the tiles because our tiles are 1 foot each. And we're gonna let it go 4 feet. So at the 4th tile, when it crosses that line, we're gonna stop the timer. And then we're gonna calculate the speed, and then we'll do it at a couple different heights, okay? All right, you ready? Set, go.
All right. So that was about 1 49/100 seconds.
Okay.
I'll write that down. So while you're doing this, make sure you're writing down how far it went. So in 1 49/100 seconds, it went 4 feet. So then we can do another trial.
Okay, I'm gonna reduce our height by half. And you don't have to be exact on the height of your ramp. You can do it at a couple different heights, whatever you want to use, just as long as they're different. So we're not too worried right now about the height. Okay, ready? Set, go.
Okay, so that was 2 800 seconds. So it went 4 feet in 2 800 seconds. So when we made it a little lower, it went a little slower.
Okay, I'm gonna reduce this by half again, I think. That was not quite half, because I don't think it's gonna go the full 4 feet. I'm gonna reduce the length of my ramp too. Maybe that will help. All right, ready? Let me do this. I'm gonna give you another marker.
At 2, just in case.
At 2, just
Okay.
in case it doesn't quite go 4.
Gotcha.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Set, go.
All right. So I did that at the 2 feet. It went 1 36/100. So that means at 4, it would have been 2 72. So it was slower that way.
All right. We're good. We're gonna look at how to, the next part of our video will show you how to graph these. All right, so we did our 3 cars. We ran them down the ramps at different heights. Now we're gonna calculate the speed of each car, okay? Our first one was set at the highest. It went 4 feet in 1.49 seconds, okay? And if you remember, our formula to calculate speed is speed equals distance divided by time. So we're gonna plug in 4 feet divided by 1.49 seconds. And we can use our calculator. We're gonna say 4 divided by 1.49 equals, can't read that, we're gonna round it. Speed equals 2.68 feet per second. Okay, and I'm just gonna jot this down here. .68 feet per second. All right. Now our second one, we're gonna calculate. That one went 4 feet in 2.08 seconds. So let's keep our formula up here. So speed equals 4 feet divided by 2.08 seconds. So let's divide it out. Our speed equals 1.92 feet per second. All right, I'm going to jot this in. And I'll show you why in just a minute that we're jotting these down. Okay, and our final one, remember this was the lowest setting. And remember, we had to measure it at 2 feet because it didn't even go 4 feet. It was going so slow. So, number 3 went 2 feet. In, was that 1.36? 1.36 seconds. Okay, let's divide that out and see what we get. And that was 1.47 feet per second. All right, so now we have the speed of all 3 of our cars. Now let's take a look at how to graph this. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, we have all 3 of our cars, the speed of all 3 of our cars. The one set at the highest went the fastest. It went 2.68 feet per second. The second one at the middle height went 1.92 feet per second. And the third one went 1.47 feet per second. Remember that one we had to go only 2 feet, or we had to measure it to 2 feet. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these and we're going to graph them. And that's going to allow us to look at the numbers and kind of see what's going on, okay? So I'm going to set this up here and we're going to look at our graph. Now when you graph speed and time, you always put your distance up the side and your time along the bottom. And I had to write time down here in the corner because I didn't have enough room to put in my numbers. So these are my increments. We're gonna measure them at half-second increments and half-foot increments. So our first car went 2.68 feet per second. So 2.68 is gonna be somewhere up here per second. Is gonna go up there. So what we can do, we only need 1 point because we're starting at 0. And we're going to draw a line. And from this line, we can see how far it would go. Let me see if I can get a little straighter line because that's not coming right off 0 quite. Something like that. Okay. So we can look at this and we can say, well, in 1 second, my car went 2.68 feet. Okay. Now we can look at it and say, well, how far would it go in 2 seconds? And we would go up to see where the line crosses 2. It would take about 5.5 seconds, somewhere in that neighborhood. Okay. And we can look at any increment in between. Now let's take a look at our second car. We're going to graph it on the same graph because we're going to look at each of them. All right, and I'm going to graph the next one in a different color. I'm going to use blue. All right, our car number 2 went 1.92 feet per second. Well, that's almost 2. So in 1 second, that one went that far. And I want you to take a look at what you see. So the next car, it only went 1.92 feet per second. In 2 seconds, it would go right about 3.5 feet per second. Okay, and then our last one, let's see if I have another color handy. Yes, I have green, very good. Okay, so our last one is gonna go 1.47 feet per second. Well, that's just shy of 1.5. So we're gonna mark it right there. We're gonna draw a line. And we see that the slower our car goes, the lower the incline on our graph. So the faster it goes, the steeper our line is going to be. All right? So our slowest car at 2 seconds is going to go just over 2.5 feet. And how long would it have taken to go 4 feet? It would have taken over 3 seconds if it had gone that far, okay? Now I do realize that the cars are slowing down once they reach the bottom of the ramp, but we're marking this as constant speed. But I wanted you to see that your graphs, the faster it goes, the steeper your graph is gonna be. And then we'll take a look at some more in a little bit.